Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Wet ass P-word.
Sexual anarchy.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jeff Waldorf. We've got a big show today. A lot of stuff. So, a lot of different things that I'm going to cover again. Today, we've got Ben Shapiro on wages, making a pretty terrible argument. Very dumb, actually. But first, we got Marjorie Greene. Versus democracy. Yes, it's not a surprise that she has fascistic leanings, but she's going to go into detail about, how she doesn't want, specifically, Democrats to vote. She doesn't like Democrats voting. And wants to ban them for a temporary amount of time, at least. We have Steve Bannon, of course. Lawyer drama, fun, as usual. Arkansas Republicans want to literally build a monument to dead fetuses. I'm not kidding. Disgusting. We'll do it. We got hate crime Karen. We got Alaska Republicans saying, maybe child murder, not so bad. There might be a benefit to murdering kids. Wow. I'm not kidding. And then Florida continuing their book bans. So more details on that. We've got a big show today. So why don't we dive into it? Before we do, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. With that, let's go. Onward and forward. All right. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to take away voting rights, but only if you're a Democrat.
What I think would be something that some red states could propose is, well, okay, if Democrat voters choose to flee these blue states where they cannot tolerate the living conditions, they don't want their children taught these horrible things, and they really change their mind on the types of policies that they support, well, once they move to a red state, guess what? Maybe you don't get to vote for 5 years. You can live there, you can work there, but you don't get to bring your values that you basically created in the blue states you came from by voting for Democrat leaders and Democrat policies.
Nothing says hating your neighbor, or your new neighbor, I should say, than trying to deny them the right to vote because of where they came from and their political leanings. Great. Marjorie Taylor Greene, great uniter. Oh, actually, you know what? She is a great uniter. She's uniting everyone against her with her hateful takes. Of course. Of course. Oh, you know what? Here's the thing. She's undemocratic. This is literally undemocratic. Saying that, you don't have my same political beliefs and you come from a different state. Well, I guess you get to lose your literal rights under the Constitution. Hey, aren't I a great constitutional conservative? No, you haven't read it, just like you haven't read the Bible. You fraud. You hack. I know, horrible politician, horrible person. Now, here's the thing. I don't like the way Republicans vote. I mean, I say it all the time. I'm very upset with the way that some Republicans vote for Republicans and some of the people that they vote for. Do I think that it's okay to take away their right to vote? No. Again, that's literally undemocratic. Wow. Now, I would never consider such a thing. Again, it's anti-American. It's undemocratic. So what does that make Marjorie Greene? Now, let's get to the details, right? So she talks about, it's these people. They went and created the policies and then fled the blue states because of their policies. So are you sure it's liberal policies? I mean, which ones, right? Which policies are left-wing? I mean, okay, why don't we look at first why people might move to the red states? Might have something to do with the cost of living in, yes, big cities, blue states. That's a fair point. You want to point out that, like, hey, it's kind of expensive to live in Los Angeles and San Francisco, New York. Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. You'd be absolutely correct. It is very difficult to live there because of the cost of living. But that might have something to do with other factors. Not really progressive, leftist, liberal policy. And actually, let's talk about homeownership, right? Or housing. Now, there is a housing issue in California, in New York, in these, bigger cities. So that might have something to do with the fact that foreign investors and giant banks flush with handouts from stock buybacks, for example, that we refuse to ban, by the way. And by the way, it's both mainly Republicans, but also Democrats that are not really in favor of banning stock buybacks. These banks and foreign investors will go and buy up all the housing, and that drives up home prices. Interesting. There's also, of course, the issue of NIMBYism, and by the way, NIMBYing for all of those who are not familiar with that term, it just means not in my backyard. There are people that will look at, for example, affordable housing and go, not in my backyard. That's going to lower my property values. Now, understand that there's a lot of liberals that do that. That's fair. We're fair on this show. It's not necessarily a liberal thing, though. Now, not only that, but you have wages that cannot keep up with the cost of living. You have homeless people, by the way, in this country that work, but still cannot afford housing, shelter. It's a staggering amount. A 2021 study from the University of Chicago estimated that 53% of people living in homeless shelters and 40% of unsheltered people were employed. They had jobs. We live in a country where people work and still can't afford to pay rent, much less own a home. This is ridiculous, broken country that is a huge problem in cities. And yes, by the way, blue states as well. But it's an issue all over the country. That said, one of the reasons that people move from blue states to red states is because the cost of living is lower there, because the standard of living is lower there. It's not because of like wokey schools or anything like that. No, it comes to, I can't really afford to live here. And because of all these aforementioned issues. Now, the thing is, again, where she says, oh, it's the liberal policies that are doing that. No, it's not liberal policies. It's corporate-friendly policies that tend to be championed, by the way, by both parties that tend to create these issues. Deregulation of the banks, allowing corporate stock buybacks, again, not raising the minimum wage, etc. Politicians, yes, that will talk a good game, that will, and say, oh, yeah, we're going to raise the minimum wage, and then they don't. These are all issues, by the way, that are made by possible by one thing. You want to guess what that is? Political corruption. Corporations and wealthy donors buy politicians with legalized bribes in the form of campaign contributions. The donors then get whatever they want from all the politicians. And by the way, cities in red states also have the same issues. Okay? And by the way, the entire country has the same issue. It's called capitalism. Finally, addressing how Greene, and this is her whole push, right? Of why we need a national divorce. Because we're so different, red and blue America. So different. No, it turns out that the left and right actually agree, and quite a bit. At least when it comes to policy issues. For example, allowing Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices. The vast majority of Americans, both Republicans and Democrats, agree with that. Regulating corporations, universal health care, taxing the rich, getting rid of money in politics. The majority of voters on both sides of the spectrum absolutely agree. So here's the thing, though. The reason that we're so divided right now are culture warriors like Marjorie Greene, who are getting you to hate your neighbor. They're trying to divide us, so guess what? They don't actually have to do their job as politicians to solve these issues. And while they're not solving the issues, they're taking our money and putting it in their pocket. That's what's going on here. That's the reality that Marjorie Taylor Greene seems to want to ignore. The politicians don't agree with what the people want. Yes, 100%, Cindy. You're 100% correct. Okay. Let's move on. Let's go to Ben Shapiro. Let's see.
It's like a shark, NATO, except with poop.
That about sums up this next comment here. All right. Or should I say this next video? Ben Shapiro doesn't believe in the idea of a living wage.
Well, I mean, first of all, the wage to cost of living gap would not exist in the absence of regulation and subsidy, at least not nearly as much. The fact of the matter is that one of the reasons you have housing shortages in blue areas is because of development restrictions that are largely created by the left. The reason that you have massive inflation right now is, again, because of left-wing financial policy. It tends to be that wages move in tandem with costs, generally speaking, because, again, there is no such thing as a non-living wage. Nobody dies on their wage. And that is not a thing that happens inside the United States. This is why when people say living wage, the question is, well, what do you mean by a non-living wage? Do you just mean a wage that you don't think is high enough? And for what job? And what does the market look like?
Now, nobody dies on their wage. Oh, really? That sounds like something, that a person who has never talked to a human being outside of his tax bracket would say. Just saying. Look, Ben Shapiro, he is basically a wealthy mouthpiece for wealthy people. That's it. Or people, I should say, wealthier than he is. That's the only economic opinions that he has, is of rich people. He is out there spouting rich people opinions, things that you would hear in the billionaire, millionaire cocktail circuit. So that's why mainly Ben Shapiro talks about culture war issues. I'm pretty sure most of his audience is like, wait, what are you talking about, Ben? Like, we literally cannot make enough money to live. And he's like, non-living wages. Nobody's ever died. Oh, really? 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 So let's look at housing. So he actually makes a point that makes a little bit of sense, right? So let me explain. Housing is expensive. Okay. I mean, yes, that's what he gets right. Now, here's the thing, though. A lot of people say, well, we can fix the housing issues by just building more houses. But that's not the whole of it. That's not going to fix the problem here of companies that are flush with cash from doing stock buybacks, for example, coming in to the housing market with all cash offers, who will then buy up all the new housing, the new real estate, and turn them into expensive rentals. That's not going to fix the issue. But having more houses available, yes, of course, you do have to have enough housing and build enough housing to sate demand. But you also have to make sure that these wealthy investors and foreign corporations and banks don't come in and buy it all up. And that's what's going on here. So now look, that's not an example of over-regulation, right? As Ben Shapiro and people like him would have you believe, we're having too much regulation in the zoning issues, and that's why we can't build any more houses. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. No, there's a lack of regulation when it comes to who can buy single-family homes. Now, wealthy developers also buy off politicians with campaign contributions, bribes, and will zone things like condos instead of affordable housing. And of course, that's backed by NIMBYs, the people that were like, oh, affordable housing? Oh, not in my backyard. I don't want to live near people who are poor. That's not an example of a left-wing policy. That's not what's creating these issues. The issue is capitalism. And I say that because corporations have a fiduciary responsibility to maximize profit. That's why companies all over the country keep wages low and crush labor unions. That's what's going on here. And by the way, so let's get into inflation, right? He talks about inflation. So now, supply chain issues did cause some inflation. And that's a result, of course, of COVID. But a lot of the inflation that we've seen is also a result of corporate profiteering. So, look, you had CEOs and shareholder meetings that would sit there and they would gloat about how they would take advantage of this situation in order to jack up prices way above the additional costs that they have incurred, again, because of the very real supply chain issues. And then, they would pocket the difference. So they would just add additional on top. That's why you have companies that are making massive profits and why inflation is so incredibly high. Then, of course, let's talk about the Fed, the Federal Reserve, pumping trillions of dollars of liquidity into the banks, who once again, as I've shown you before, turn around and bought back their stocks, billions and billions of dollars worth of stock buybacks, and then gave their executives enormous bonuses. That same Federal Reserve now that is raising interest rates in the hopes, and this is from their own words, to create more unemployment, to make more people unemployed because they say, well, that's going to cool inflation. Does any of that sound like left-wing economic policy to you? No. What it is it's corporate-friendly policy. That's what it is. It's the same kind of corporate-friendly policy that Ben Shapiro capes for all the time. No, you know what a non-living wage is, Ben? It's when 40% of unhoused people, homeless people, work, are employed, and still cannot afford a home. Where 53% of those living in homeless shelters work and still have to live in a homeless shelter. It's when corporations pay their workers so little that they have to encourage them to go and get on Medicaid and food stamps, government programs. These are subsidies. While that same company, the parent corporation, takes millions in handouts from the government. It's when people, die because they can't afford to go to a doctor. It's when they have to ration their insulin. That's what a non-living wage looks like, Ben. Maybe you ought to talk to somebody who works in these jobs that don't pay people enough to survive. Maybe you should actually sit down and have a conversation. Or better yet, maybe you should actually try living on these wages that you claim aren't actually real. Oh, there's no such thing as a non-living wage. And you should have to work on that without help from your billionaire friends. If he had to do that, by the way, he'd be singing a different tune. But of course, Ben Shapiro is never going to do that because he's already got his. He doesn't care about you. He's just, once again, a mouthpiece for incredibly wealthy people trying to protect the status quo. Let's move on. Let's go to Steve Bannon. Get an update. Fun. It appears that serial grifter sloppy Steve Bannon is being sued. On Friday, the Manhattan firm of Davidoff, Hutcher, and Citron filed a lawsuit against Steve Bannon for unpaid bills. An unpaid amount, by the way, of $480,487. Now, earlier this month, the Daily Beast, and I talked about this, revealed that Bannon had incurred that amount of money by stiffing two of his lawyers. So he ran up these huge legal bills that, from having these lawyers defend him at a 2022 trial over his refusal to testify before the January 6th committee. Now, on top of the amount that he allegedly owes, the firm is now asking that a New York judge force Bannon to pay with interest, plus the cost of the lawyer who filed his lawsuit. Now, they say it's because the firm had performed various legal services for Bannon in a competent and professional manner and deserved to get paid for it. So, as somebody who is on the side of labor, yeah, of course, the service is rendered. Sure. But at the same time, I just got to say, what did you expect working for Steve Bannon? It's not like people don't know who he is. They know he's a liar and a grifter. They know that he had helped steal millions of dollars. And by the way, was convicted of helping to steal millions of dollars from MAGA chuds for a scam, a wall project. He even laughed about it on a yacht and then was arrested on a yacht and then pardoned by Donald Trump, another grifter. So look, of course this guy was going to rob you, allegedly. But come on, he's going to rob you. You should have known this. Now there's more. According to the lawsuit filed by Costello's firm, Bannon had only paid about $375,000 of his $855,487 legal bill and also owes an untold amount to Evan Corcoran's firm, Silverman, Thompson, Slutkin, and White. I'm not going to get over that. So I'm sorry, but I just have to throw a...
Sexual anarchy.
I had to throw it in there. Sorry. So... look, a source familiar with the situation suggested that the total is less than what is owed to Costello in New York to Corcoran's firm. All right. So here's the irony about this situation. The Daily Beast reporting actually ended up leading to that lawsuit. Now, look, when they broke the news initially that Bannon hadn't been paying his lawyers, his representatives came out and was like, oh, no, fake news, not true. How would you post that trash? It's not real. Bannon pays his lawyers. Bannon pays all of his bills. It turns out, no. So now a third lawyer on the contempt of Congress trial, David Schoen of Alabama, was like, actually, no, I had gotten paid. Now, the other lawyers, and this is that meme, right? You guys got paid? Because everyone else didn't. Because he's a grifter, he's a con man. That's who he is. Now, Costello's firm ended up, after the report, suing Bannon last week, and it is yet unclear if Corcoran's firm will take a similar action. Although I would think that perhaps they will. You know, because, look, it's money. You got to get your money back. You got to get what you earn. You defended this guy. And by the way, in that story that I reported, from the Daily Beast the first time about this, one of these lawyers, I mean, it ended up almost getting in legal jeopardy as a result. Now, another impact or effect of this article is that, oh, look, now that all these lawyers are getting stiffed, that's going to make it difficult for Bannon to find new lawyers. Because once again, all these lawyers are no longer representing Bannon, citing irreconcilable differences. How sad. So now Bannon's got to find new lawyers, and this is going to make it even more difficult for that to happen. How sad. Oh, what is that? What is that I hear? Oh, it's the consequences of your actions. Has to be. I think at the end of the day, though, Bannon is going to find some slimy Trump lawyer. There's always one of those hanging around, and ultimately they're going to represent him. It's the same deal with Trump. But look, at the end of the day, I also think that Bannon, because he is rich, white, and right-wing, will not face really any consequences. That's the unfortunate state of our country, where these people who are grifters and con men continue to get away with being grifters and con men over and over again. Okay, let's move on. It'll make a great movie 20 years from now. I don't know. The woman who set fire to a pride flag in New York has been identified and charged with a hate crime. So now, you may remember this woman. She is Angelina Cando, 30 years old, and was arrested on charges of arson, criminal mischief, and reckless endangerment. All of them, of course, are being treated as hate crimes. So what happened is that at 1:30 a.m. Monday morning this week, she had gotten out of her SUV, lit a pride flag on fire in front of the Little Prince restaurant, and then drove off. Now, funny enough, the flag had also made fun of Donald Trump's slogan, Make America Great Again, by saying, Make America Gay Again, which, hell yeah, based.
We have to keep our country gay.
So, nonetheless, this hateful bigot lit that flag on fire and was videotaped doing so. I showed you the tape when I reported the story initially. But there's more details. Apparently, she has a history of homophobic and violent actions, according to people who knew her, as well as previous arrest reports. So, this lady, Cando, a bit infamous. So let's do it. A local building superintendent who had worked about a half mile from where she had lived described her as quote unquote crazy, which is something that you're going to hear a lot. Another neighbor referred to her as that crazy girl, told the New York Daily News that she had knocked on his door a couple of weeks ago when she was freaking out. Everybody in that building knows her. Oh, that's lovely. Now, I mentioned history of violence and bigotry. So now let me give you her arrests. Cando was arrested on January 30th for an incident involving a 67-year-old relative inside their apartment. Police said that she had thrown objects like plates and glasses, struck him with a guitar, and which led, of course, to charges of assault, criminal mischief, as well as criminal obstruction of breathing. So basically, she was allegedly choking this individual. That victim had suffered cuts in the attack, and she ended up being facing 9 charges from assault to harassment in the case. Now, you might be wondering, with this history of violence, why is she out in the street? Well, apparently she was released without bail after her arraignment in Manhattan criminal court. She was also arrested again afterwards on February 2nd for threatening a man with a knife inside of a pizzeria. A criminal court complaint recounted that Kando was coming at the man while waving the knife, and of course there was a temporary restraining order that was issued in that case. She was charged with menacing, weapons possession, and harassment, but was again released without bail after appearing in court. So look, this lady, she's got serious issues, and I'm not saying that she has mental issues. I am saying, though, that she's very violent, apparently very bigoted, and should not be out on the streets. Look, I'm a proponent of bail reform. No bail for nonviolent crimes. I draw the line at violent crimes. When you assault people, as she clearly has done in the past, and then, by the way, goes on to commit what I would consider to be arson, that could get people hurt. Remember, there were people inside of that building. People had to be evacuated from, the apartment around the restaurant, from their homes at 1:30 in the morning, because this lady got triggered by a pride flag. I think if you're, doing arson or violence, especially in the process of committing hate crimes, look, that crosses a line with me. I'm sorry. She does not need to be walking around the public. Now, I hope this time she will get some sort of consequences for her actions so that she cannot harm anyone else, threaten anyone else, or anything else like that. But again, I'm not sure. Maybe the fact that this is now high profile, she might actually get some sort of consequences. Yeah, no bail for nonviolent offenses. Violent people should be locked up. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, let's move on to Republicans, weirdo Republicans in Arkansas, I believe. A group of Arkansas state Republicans have introduced a bill to create a monument to fetuses. Not kidding. Introduced by State Representatives Kim Hammer, co-sponsored by Representatives Mary Bentley, Tyler Dees, and John Payton, the bill would create a monument to dead fetuses, aborted fetuses, before the Dobbs decision had been handed down. The Dobbs decision, of course, has stripped women, trans men, of reproductive rights. So now, the bill, the text of it says, as a memorial to the lives lost from 1973 to 2022 due to the decisions of the U.S. Supreme Court, and as a constant reminder of our duty to protect the life of every innocent human person, no matter how young or old, or how helpless and vulnerable that person may be, it is the intent of the General Assembly of the State of Arkansas to enact the Monument to Unborn Children Display Act and the Monument to Unborn Children Display Fund. So, look, this monument is both gross and weird. Republicans, Arkansas, do you not have anything better to do? Oh yeah, no. Let's make a monument to aborted fetuses. Yes, that's going to be a great virtue signal to our base. How about instead of doing that, though, maybe you want to try to work on lowering the amount of infant mortality in your state. Arkansas has the second highest infant mortality rate in the country. How about you work on that? How about you do something about that? If you want to save the babies, you can start there. 8 out of every 1,000 infants die during or immediately following birth in the state of Arkansas. Why are you not fixing that? Why are you not doing something about that? Oh, because that might actually involve helping people get proper health care, which might cost your donors or yourself a few extra bucks in taxes. Or, it might be socialism as well. You don't want to turn into
pink-haired communists.
No.
Can't let that happen.
Nope. Or I don't know, maybe you could think about passing paid family and medical leave. How about, having paid maternity care or paid maternity leave? All things that we do not currently have in this country on the federal level. Yeah, sure, some people do get paid leave from their jobs, but we're the only country in the developed world that does not have a national guarantee to medical leave, family leave, paid leave, or also, by the way, child care as well. There are no federal mandates. Nothing, no federal money that can actually do that. And as I said before, yes, there are people that do have access to these things, but guess what? Lower income people don't. And would you look at that? Higher infant mortality is directly correlated to having lower incomes. Oh, could you imagine that? Huh. And of course, by the way, the people impacted the most happen to be the African American community. They face the highest levels of infant mortality. Also, African American women tend to die more often during childbirth. And so you have these socioeconomic factors as well as systemic and structural racism that are contributing to these infant deaths. Why don't you care about that, Republicans? We have a lack of family support and healthcare. You are elected officials. You could probably do something about that. But instead of doing that, which, by the way, if you fix all of these other issues, guess what that would do? That would encourage people to have families. But instead of doing that, Arkansas Republicans are just wasting time and money building grotesque monuments. These are not serious people. If they actually cared about lowering the amount of abortion, they could start by making this country a little less hostile to families, to the idea of raising a family. They could also try to make contraception freely accessible. They could educate people, have comprehensive sex ed. They could also invest in higher wages, healthcare, guaranteed food, and housing. But you can see their priorities. They don't actually care about babies. They don't actually care about families. Once again, this entire pro-life narrative, it's not about life, it's about control. Controlling women's bodies, their reproduction. This is why they would rather build a grotesque monument to dead fetuses than actually do something to save living human beings and to make sure that we all have better lives. Okay. More. Oh, it gets worse. Oh boy. An Alaska lawmaker thinks there might be a bright side to fatal child abuse.
In the case where child abuse is fatal, obviously it's not good for the child, but it's actually a benefit to society because there aren't needed for government services and whatnot over the whole course of that child's life.
Through the chair, can you say that again? Did you say a benefit for society?
Talking dollars. Now you've got a $1.5 million price tag here for victims of fatal child abuse. It gets argued periodically that It's actually a cost savings because that child is not going to need any of those government services that they might otherwise, be entitled to receive and need based on, growing up in this type of environment.
That guy just said, dead children are a benefit to society. Oh, but we're talking about dollars. That's your pro-life Republican, everybody. Look, that was State Representative David Eastman. He's a Republican, and holy crap. It gets argued periodically that it's, it's cheaper if the children die, and that's actually a benefit to society. What? Now, ain't nobody making that argument but you, dude. Look, this is a great illustration of the kinds of people, this is who they are. This is them accidentally being honest. Maybe not accidentally. No, it was on purpose. When it comes to human lives, seems like they only think about the money. Oh, it's better for, it's better for society. It's better for the taxpayer, mainly me, because, I don't want to pay taxes to my corporate donors. It's better for us if we, if they just don't live. Pro-life Republicans, everybody. Pro-life Republicans. This is who they are. Now, that said, Eastman, this is not the first time he has had, he said some yikesy things, okay? In fact, he was censured back in 2017 after claiming that women in rural villages try to get pregnant so that they can get a free trip to the city to get an abortion. What is wrong with this guy? That is so incredibly wrong and so many different levels. Jesus Christ. Eastman also faced a court battle after a former constituent said that he was a member of the Oath Keepers, and that he was sued because being a member of the Oath Keepers, if you remember, they were part of the people that tried to, overthrow the government in January 6th, made him ineligible to hold office. Now, unfortunately, an Anchorage judge ruled in Eastman's favor. And by the way, Eastman gets a lot of protection from the right-wing mob, the MAGA mob. In fact, according to House Republicans, talking to the Anchorage Daily News, and by the way, they refused to say this on the record. So I think this is really important to point out. They told the Anchorage Daily News that they were appalled by this, by Eastman's comments. Like, no, what are you talking about? This is horrifying. Children that get abused to the point of death are murdered, right? How could you go there and say that there is a benefit to society because we save a couple of bucks? Yeah, so it all kind of works out. Now, they refuse to say this on the record because, they're cowardly. Okay, let me just say that. Beta male. Cowards, all of them. Now you say, I can't say anything because the mob will come after me. Not the woke mob, not the left-wing mob, not the Antifa. No. It's the right-wing mob. Eastman has a loyal and vocal band of far-right supporters who are known to fight on his behalf and go after Republican offices when they feel that he is being unfairly demonized, in their words. So he's got the mob on his side. That's why nobody will speak up. And that's why nobody goes after him for being a horrible person and saying horrific things. In fact, some even other Republicans are like, well, he was just trying to make a comment on pro-life, and it just came out wrong. He's very, very clear. Dead children who were abused are a benefit to society because we don't have to pay for their help to help them. That's what he's saying. There is nothing that you can misinterpret on that statement. He thinks it's preferable to save a few bucks than to help children who have been abused. And it's so nice when these people reveal themselves, because it shows you who they are and what they actually believe, and that they only care about themselves and saving their donors a few extra bucks. It is always themselves, their money, over human lives. Pro-life my ass. All right. Let's move on. Last story of the day. And by the way, if you haven't already, please like and share the stream. Gotta boost those engagement numbers, everybody. If you like what we're doing, what I'm doing. All right. The state of Florida continues to ban books as a result of some of the laws passed by Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, these books have been pulled off the shelves. Millions of books have been pulled off the shelves because right-wingers have claimed that some of them are indoctrinating children. Now, that said, according to Judd Legum of Popular Information, one school board in Escambia County, Florida, recently banned some books, 3 of them specifically, at the request of a high school teacher who has been alleged by, I should say accused by numerous students of saying racist and homophobic things openly in class. Now, what's disturbing about this is that these books have been banned. So this lady goes in and with obvious biases, comes in and says, I don't like these books. And then the school board says, okay, we're going to remove them. So let's get to the details, right? Now, one of the books banned by Escambia County School Board is called And Tango Makes Three. So now the book is a true story of 2 male penguins, Roy and CeeLo, who lived in the Central Park Zoo. The pair built a nest together. They raised an adopted child named Tango. That book, totally innocuous. It's about penguins. Literally, there is no sexual content in that book. So that's book number 1. Right? Book number 2 is called All Boys Aren't Blue. Now, that's a young adult book about growing up black and gay, something that people go through. There are black and gay people. Now, that book was, again, targeted towards young adults and available in some Escambia County high schools. So it's not like a, 6-year-old is going to pick up that book and start reading it. No, it's for, again, young adults. Now, as such, since it is a book for young adults, there are some explicit scenes in it, including depictions of consensual sex as well as sexual assault. Okay, so again, I'm going to let you know too, by the way, that people that have reviewed all of these books for the state, including parents, teachers, other workers, were like, no, this is fine. It's age appropriate for young adults. So now the other book is called When Adrian Became a Brother, and basically it's just a story that features a transgender child, a transgender boy specifically. Now the school board banned these books, siding with this teacher named Vicky Baggett. Now Vicky Baggett made all sorts of wild claims about this, calling them indoctrination, and so the school district, the school board specifically, said, oh, we're just going to ban it. We're going to ban the books. We're going to take them out. That's, again, despite teachers, administrators, librarians, parents, and community members, as well as even the media specialists that are supposed to go and comb through these books to find anything objectionable, said, yeah, there's really nothing wrong with these books. These are fine. Now, some of the stuff that she was saying about these books, the book about the penguins, here's what she said about that. She said that it promotes the LGBTQ agenda using penguins, and claims that the purpose of the book is to indoctrinate young children into being gay. Insane. Oh, those penguins, the LGBTQ agenda. Oh, yeah. I can't believe that there's this penguin book.
Can't let that happen.
I can't let them be gay. I mean, again, this is complete and total insanity from somebody who's a lunatic. An absolute lunatic. She claimed that all the books, by the way, were indoctrinating children. It's a book about penguins. What is wrong with you? Look, the people here that are trying to indoctrinate children are right-wing homophobes and transphobes. And they're literally doing Nazi tactics in banning books. What's next? They're going to burn the books. That's what Nazis do. So now, that said, let's get to her classroom conduct. Baggett allegedly told a 10th grade student that her sister, who was gay, but a girlfriend, was, quote, only faking it for attention. Nobody's born that way, she says. Wow. Now, according to the former student, whose name is being withheld by popular information, Baggett told her, quote, I was only gay because I hadn't found the right man. Baggett also allegedly made inappropriate comments about the former student's hair.
Pink-haired communist.
That's probably what she said. That's ridiculous. Again, incredibly hateful. And by the way, damaging for children. And while she's going out there saying, oh, gay indoctrination, they're indoctrinating children. No, she's the one who's indoctrinating them, saying that you're not normal, you're not right, homosexuality, it's a sin, it's bad. In fact, here's more. In September 2019, the parent emailed Northville High School principal Michael Sherrill, objecting to her classroom conduct. And the email stated that Baggett had expressed her utter distaste for homosexuals to her students. You want to talk about indoctrination? We'll talk about grooming. This is that. According to the parent, Baggett stated that she thinks homosexuals are dumb/stupid for wearing the rainbow and pink colors. She says, well, that's the way that Hitler marked homosexual males during the Holocaust. Now, there was a pink triangle that was used by Nazi Germany, true. That said, the LGBTQ community has reclaimed that. Now, the parent who shared the email on the condition of anonymity said their concerns were dismissed by Sherrill, who said that Baggett was a quote-unquote good person. But there's more. There's more. Peggy Sunday, who graduated from Northview in 2021, told Popular Information that during a 10th grade English class, Baggett said that she openly opposed interracial marriage. Yeah. Okay. So here we go there.
The Republican Party's racist.
Baggett said that in the Bible, somewhere it says that it's a sin for the races to mix together and that whites were meant to be with whites and blacks are meant to be with blacks, Sunday alleged. She's backed up by 15 other students from a variety of racial backgrounds were enrolled in the class. 15 students with various racial backgrounds were enrolled in that class, but other students backed up this story. Another student in the same class, Stone Presley, recalled the same incident. Presley said that Baggett said that she was opposed to race mixing because she wanted to preserve cultures. Again, that's essentially Nazi ideology. She didn't want everyone to turn the same color eventually. Another student in the class, Hamza Jacobs, confirmed Baggett's comments opposing race mixing, and a fourth student in the class who asked to remain anonymous due to the nature of the allegations and Baggett's standing in a small community also confirmed the episode. So, look, this is this is the person that the school board is taking book banning advice from. She comes out and she says, I don't like this book. It's got a gay person in it. And the school board says, yes, ma'am, let's get rid of it. Oh, what's that? What's that? You want to get rid of anything that mentions stuff that you don't like? Okay, sure. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of all of it. Yeah. Now, that said, this might be getting the school in trouble, actually, the district. Turns out that this could be a breach of the First Amendment. Ellen Odom, general counsel of the Escambia County School Board, said the bans open up the board to legal challenges. Sarah Latshaw of the Florida ACLU, who attended the meeting, agreed. Latshaw said that the school board faces civil liability for removing books like When Aiden Became a Brother because it cannot engage in viewpoint discrimination. Latshaw explained that the board cannot remove a book from the library simply because it has a transgender character. But as I mentioned, despite facing these accusations of homophobia and racism, Baggett is still getting the school board on her side, which has encouraged her to challenge even more books. In fact, she challenged 11 additional books earlier this month, and to date has challenged over 160 titles, all based on her feelings and her own internal, I would say, brokenness. She appears to be a broken person inside, deeply ignorant, deeply hateful, deeply racist. Which, ironically, again, is somebody who likes to apparently quote the Bible, which she didn't read. She does not follow the spirit of her own religion. It's unsurprising because that's the exact kinds of people who continue to preach and peddle this kind of hatred towards marginalized communities. She should not be a teacher. She should not have so much power in this school district or be around children at all. But once again, thanks to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Republicans, she's able to continue to have this power and, in fact, is empowered by them. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's all I got for you today. And I'm pretty sure that's enough. Because, boy, did we cover a lot of ghouls today, as we normally do. All right, so with that, why don't we read some super chats before we go? Gabby Mathis, thank you for gifting a one Waldorf Nation membership on YouTube. Koru, thank you for gifting a membership. And Jules T, also, thank you for gifting a membership. Give the gift of Waldorf Nation. All right, so let's see. Let's go to see if there's anything on Twitch. Yeah, I forgot to open it up because I was running super late. I had to get those videos edited. You know how it works. Who needs horror when you have the news? True. All right. Doesn't look like there's anything here on Twitch as far as subs or anything like that. But thank you to the mods as usual. Also, thank you to the YouTube mods for trying to keep the place safe and nice, respectful. I like that. All right, so with that, like I said, thank you all. Please like and share the stream on your way out. Smash the like button. Check out the videos if you haven't seen them, because we're doing a ton of stories as of late. And have a great night. We'll see you all tomorrow. Love you all, and remember, change begins with you. Good night.
There's insanity in the control room.
Please clap.
Amazing.
Sexual anarchy.
Tighten up my meat. I like my meat tight.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.